The motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Bendigo.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Speaker. Well, I did have a little bit of a chuckle to myself when I saw this motion pop up. For those who've been in this place for a while would know that this isn't actually a new motion, that this motion has been moved by the former government members several times. They've just recycled a little bit of old homework and deleted government and put in opposition, and are trying to rewrite history again with this motion. The fact is that when the former Rudd-Gillard government first decided that it would build the NBN network, the plan was for majority of Australian households, in fact over 93% of Australian households, to get fibre to the premises. That was the plan, that was what was being rolled out. And unfortunately, that Labor government lost power in 2013 before the real significant build started. What we then had from the incoming coalition government was a debacle. Back then, Malcolm Turnbull became the Minister for Communications and tore up the plan, which would have seen 93% plus of households get fibre to the premises, and they introduced their mixed plan, where they had fibre to the node, they used a cable, they had more houses on satellite, they had more houses on the fixed wireless network. They promised that it would be built and people would be on the end sooner, faster, cheaper by 2016, but failed. Failed to build it sooner, failed for it to be cheaper, and failed for it altogether. In fact, under their government, we saw, as strange as this sounds, but factories, manufacturing facilities overseas have to ramp up their copper producing capability for copper wire, because rather than replacing old degraded copper that was in the ground with fibre optics like the rest of the world were doing, the former government decided, because they were so wedded to their fibre to the node plan, that where there was degraded copper, that they needed new copper. So much copper was required that overseas manufacturers had to reopen factories. That's how out of date their policy was. In my own electorate, a regional electorate, a whole bunch of towers were built when Julia Gillard was Prime Minister. That's how long ago these towers were built. But then the coalition was elected on September 7th, 2013. These towers weren't turned on. They weren't turned on. They were put in the too hard basket. And yet they hadn't informed their other side of the business, the retailers, that they hadn't been turned on. So we started to get these complaints coming in. This is how incompetent, an example of how incompetent the previous government were. People were being sold a product that they could attach to the NBN through the fixed wireless network. Only when the technician came out did they discover that in their area the tower had not been switched on. And it took forever to get to the bottom about why these towers hadn't been switched on. So you had the frustration of people trying to buy internet access, buy their NBN package, but couldn't because the tower wasn't switched on. We found out that one of the towers had been rejected through planning. So the government's back then solution was to fix the 9 towers in the area back to 1 relay tower, when it was supposed to be 5 to 1 relay tower. It meant that the people at the very end of the service got poor quality internet. They had very slow speeds. This is the legacy of this government, and I'm just one electorate. Every electorate has a horror story track record of the previous government and what they did to what was going to be a revolutionary change and get every house the internet speeds that they need. On coming into government, what the new Labor government has done for those fixed wireless networks has increased the speeds. One of the first acts that the minister did, Michelle Rowland did, was to increase the speeds for regional communities who rely upon the fixed wireless network. It's been fantastic for people relying on that service, whether they be students who are studying from home or people working from home, now getting the download speeds that they were promised, but it took the election of a Labor government to fix. We are rolling out more fibre to the premises. We can't roll it out everywhere, but we're rolling it out where we can, because fibre is better than copper. Something that took this government, the previous government, almost a decade to work out, and this government to fix. This motion I strongly suggest that the opposition go back and start again.
I thank the